Good morning, brothers and sisters. You have heard of my stories and Bible sharing for a while. I've shared in it every time that we have to draw near to the Lord. This is really the crucial point in our life. It's the needs of our daily living. But it is useless if you have known a lot that I share. Instead, you draw near to the Lord every day. You are influenced by the Lord. You get help by the Lord. Let Him strengthen you, and that is the most important. He is with us 24 hours a day, for He is our helper besides us. All the years which I have been in the Lord told me, no matter how I seek for sanctification, seek for strength, or how much I can help others, to the one who knew Bible so well, to be a wise man in life, etc., etc., I cannot live without the Lord Himself. The Bible said, apart from me, you can do nothing. And that is so true. I hope through the stories or the verses which I have shared can help myself and to you as well. It is our blessing that we can draw near to Him. The verses I'd like to share with you is in Psalms 115, verse 4 to verse 8. And it said, their idols are silver and gold, the work of human hands. They have mouths, but do not speak, eyes, but do not see. They have ears, but do not hear, nose, but do not smell. They have hands, but do not feel, feet, but do not walk, and they do not make a sound in their throat. Those who make them become like them, so do all who trust in them. I believe many of you have read these verses, and you can tell the difference between the true and false God. But what I like to say is those who make them become like them, so do all who trust in them. In other words, if we trust in the only true God, then we will not live like that. Just like what it mentioned here, the seven don't. They have mouths, but do not speak. For us, who trust in the only true God, our mouth shall preach for Him and praise Him. Eyes, but do not see. Our spiritual eye shall open and see God is the greatest truth. Unlike the men in the world, they are being superstitious and cannot see the truth, and many more. Therefore here it said, those who make them become like them, so do all who trust in them. I find the verses here not only to remind us the difference between the real and false God, and the most important is that what is the difference between those who are trust and rely on the true God and those who are not. I hope we have hands to work on His will and build up the church which after His heart. The feet, I hope we can go to the places He wants us to go, to bring the gospel of peace and the feet of Him who brings good news to the far and everywhere. The throat can voice out our singing and praises to Him. Brothers and sisters, this kind of life is the difference of us and the non-believers. I hope we are not the seven don'ts, but we are the seven do's. Our eyes, ears, noses and throats can be committed to God. I'd like to tell you a story. There was a rich family long time ago. The wife brought many chickens, ducks and fishes to the temple as the offerings to God and hoped that her God could bless her and her families. One day, he came a wise man in the temple. He saw how this lady behaved. He then took her offerings, which was the chickens, ducks and fishes, to the poor of her unexpectedly. He then broke all the statues of the false god in the temple. For a few days later, this rich lady came to the temple and realized her offerings has all gone, and the fragments of the false god were scattered everywhere on the floor. He felt strange, and the wise man appeared at that moment. She then asked the wise man what had happened. Then the wise man explained to her and said, "All these statues of gods were fighting for your offerings to eat. It was a struggle between life and death, and they end in mutual destruction." The lady was so angry and said, "How could it be? That's impossible. You're lying indeed. These statues were made in clay. How can they fight with each other?" Then the wise man replied calmly, "That's right. These statues were made with clay. Why could they eat your offerings?" The wise man showed to the lady what happened outside the temple. The lady saw the beggars were eating her offerings happily, and she was very happy as well, for her offerings to the false gods eventually have helped the poor who were in hunger. Since then, she didn't go to the temple anymore. Instead, she learned to love those who were in need. When we preach to others, how much we want to tell others that, as we always say, real God creates man, false God was created by men. It's right. God has a very special characteristic that we have to preach, and that is love. God is love. The only 3 words, but it means a lot. God doesn't want us to serve Him. God wants us to love Him. Therefore, the first one out of all commandments is to love God and love one's neighbor as oneself. For God is love. So all His action, His mind, His plan, and even His everlasting love dream in His heart are for love. Not only that, God wants us to love Him. Do you remember the Lord asked Peter, "Do you love me?" How precious! God is full of love, and He longs for our love. He came to chase after us, to be united with us in one spirit forever. The love of the Lord towards us has manifested on the cross. Can we love Him in return? Shall we love Him for we were loved? God is love. Brothers and sisters, we are His target of love. We shall love Him in return and make Him the happiest.